The Red Army has come to the aid of its own battered land and to the aid of its own people. Will fight on its own soil, fight to the death. These words, echoing the unwavering resolve of the Soviet people, encapsulate the spirit of the Eastern Front in World War II. It was a front that witnessed some of the most brutal and decisive battles in human history, where the very fate of nations hung precariously in the balance. Today, we journey back to those tumultuous times to understand the key victories that turned the tide of war and shaped the geopolitical landscape for generations to come. Picture, if you will, the sprawling cityscape of Stalingrad in 1942. This bustling industrial hub, nestled on the banks of the mighty Volga River, became a cauldron of conflict, a battleground where hope and despair clashed in a maelstrom of destruction. The German Sixth Army, a formidable force under the command of General Friedrich Paulus, arrived at the city's doorstep, confident in their blitzkrieg tactics that had swept across Europe. The Soviets, however, were prepared to fight tooth and nail for every inch of their motherland. They understood the strategic importance of Stalingrad, a vital transportation hub and a symbol of Soviet resilience. The city's defenders, a mixture of regular army units and civilian volunteers, transformed every building, every street corner, into a fortress. What unfolded was a brutal close-quarters battle, a relentless struggle for survival amidst the rubble of a once great city. Imagine, if you can, the deafening roar of artillery fire, the chilling clatter of machine guns, the acrid smoke choking the air, and the heart-wrenching cries of the wounded. The Germans, initially confident, found themselves bogged down in a relentless street-by-street battle. The Soviets, fighting with the tenacity of cornered wolves, launched desperate counterattacks, turning every ruined building into a defensive stronghold. Days bled into weeks, weeks into months, and still, the battle raged. The Volga River, its waters now stained crimson with blood, became a lifeline for the beleaguered city, ferrying in reinforcements and supplies under constant bombardment. As winter tightened its icy grip, the tide began to turn. The Soviets, accustomed to the harsh conditions, launched a massive counteroffensive, Operation Uranus, encircling the German Sixth Army within the city. Trapped and facing annihilation, Paulus pleaded with Hitler for permission to break out. His pleas fell on deaf ears. Hitler, blinded by hubris, refused to countenance a retreat. By February 1943, the once mighty German Sixth Army was reduced to a shadow of its former self. Starving, frostbitten, and out of ammunition, General Paulus surrendered, marking a turning point in the war. The Battle of Stalingrad, a testament to human endurance and the savagery of war, had come to an end. The victory came at a staggering cost, with over 1 million casualties on both sides. Yet it shattered the myth of German invincibility, galvanizing the Soviet people and inspiring resistance across occupied Europe. The Volga, once a silent witness to the horrors of war, now flowed past a city slowly rising from the ashes, a monument to the indomitable spirit of those who fought and died for its freedom. In the aftermath of Stalingrad, the vast plains of Eastern Europe became the stage for another epic clash of arms, a battle that would involve thousands of tanks locked in a titanic struggle for supremacy. This was the Battle of Kursk, one of the largest tank battles ever fought. The year is 1943. The Germans, reeling from their defeat at Stalingrad, are determined to regain the initiative. Their target, a salient near the city of Kursk, ripe for a pincer movement, a classic blitzkrieg attack. Leading the German forces is Field Marshal Erich von Manstein, hoping to deliver a knockout blow to the Red Army. Facing him is Marshal Georgy Zhukov, the architect of the Soviet victory at Stalingrad. Zhukov, aware of German intentions, prepares a layered defense, a deadly trap. The Soviets transform the Kursk salient into a fortress, bristling with anti-tank guns, minefields, and fortified positions. On July 5, 1943, the battle commences. Thousands of German tanks, spearheaded by the formidable Tiger and Panther tanks, advance across the open steppe. The air crackles with the sound of artillery fire, the sky darkened by smoke and dust. The Soviets, dug in deep, unleash a storm of fire. Anti-tank guns roar, their shells ripping through German armor. Mines detonate with bone-jarring force, sending tanks flying through the air. The battlefield becomes a maelstrom of steel and fire, a scene of unimaginable carnage. Despite the ferocity of the Soviet defense, the Germans, spearheaded by their elite panzer divisions, make headway. The clang of tank tracks against steel, the roar of engines, the cries of the wounded create a symphony of destruction. For days the battle rages, a relentless back-and-forth struggle for every inch of ground. The Soviets, their resolve unbroken, launch furious counterattacks, their T-34 tanks engaging the heavier German armor. One particular engagement, the Battle of Prokhorovka, stands out for its sheer intensity. Over 1,200 tanks clashed in a swirling melee, the largest tank battle in history. The air above the battlefield becomes a graveyard of twisted metal as German and Soviet aircraft engage in a deadly ballet. The sun, a pale orb through the smoke and dust, bears witness to the heroism and sacrifice of the soldiers below. As days turn into weeks, the German offensive loses momentum. Their tanks, decimated by the stubborn Soviet defense, are running low on fuel and ammunition. The element of surprise is lost. The Blitzkrieg has failed. On July 12th, with their forces exhausted and their objectives unmet, the Germans begin to withdraw. The Battle of Kursk, a testament to the tenacity of the Red Army and the strategic brilliance of its commanders, is over. The victory at Kursk marked a turning point in the war on the Eastern Front. The German army, its armored forces depleted, would never again regain the strategic initiative. The Red Army, emboldened by their victory, would begin its long, hard-fought advance towards Berlin. Imagine, if you will, a city under siege, its people enduring unimaginable hardship, their spirits unbroken despite being pushed to the brink of human endurance. This was Leningrad, now St. Petersburg, during World War II. Its siege, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, stands as one of the longest and most destructive sieges in history. In September 1941, the German army, having swept across the Soviet Union, reached the outskirts of Leningrad. Hitler, obsessed with the city's symbolic importance as the cradle of the Bolshevik Revolution, ordered its capture and destruction. Instead of a swift assault, the Germans opted for a siege, a tactic designed to starve the city into submission. Thus began a harrowing ordeal for the nearly 3 million inhabitants trapped within Leningrad's borders. Winter descended upon the city, bringing with it not only the biting cold, but also the specter of starvation. Food supplies dwindled, and soon the meager rations were insufficient to sustain life. People resorted to eating anything they could find: leather belts, wallpaper paste, even in the most desperate cases, rats. The cold was relentless. Fuel ran out, and the city's once grand buildings turned into icy tombs. People huddled together for warmth, their bodies weakened by hunger, their spirits slowly ebbing away. Yet even in the face of such unimaginable suffering, the people of Leningrad refused to surrender. They organized themselves, establishing soup kitchens, clearing rubble, and maintaining essential services. The city's cultural life, a beacon of hope in the darkness, continued as best it could. Orchestras performed, albeit with skeletal musicians, their music a defiant act of resistance against the Nazi barbarity. One extraordinary example of this spirit was the performance of Dmitri Shostakovich's Seventh Symphony, the Leningrad Symphony. Composed during the siege, its soaring melodies, broadcast over loudspeakers throughout the city, became an anthem of defiance, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. Through it all, the city's defenders, ordinary citizens turned soldiers, held firm. They manned the barricades, repelled German attacks, and kept the lifeline to the outside world open. Lake Ladoga, frozen solid during the winter months, became the road of life, a perilous route across the ice, braving German bombardment and the constant threat of the ice breaking, all to bring desperately needed supplies to the besieged city. For 872 days the siege continued, a testament to the cruelty and inhumanity of war. But Leningrad, its spirit unbroken, refused to yield. Finally, in January 1944, the Red Army, in a massive offensive, broke the siege, liberating the city from its long nightmare. The Siege of Leningrad, a story of unimaginable suffering and extraordinary resilience, serves as a stark reminder of the human cost of war. It is a story of courage, of sacrifice, and above all, of the indomitable spirit of a people determined to survive. The Eastern Front of World War II stands as a chilling reminder of the human cost of conflict. The battles fought on these blood-soaked lands, from the rubble of Stalingrad to the tank-strewn fields of Kursk and the besieged city of Leningrad, serve as stark testaments to the horrors of war and the enduring spirit of those who endured them. These victories, hard-won and soaked in the blood of millions, remind us of the sacrifices made to secure the freedoms we often take for granted. They challenge us to reflect on the lessons learned, to strive for peace, and to honor the memory of those who fought and died by building a world where such horrors are never repeated. If you found this exploration of the Eastern Front insightful, please consider giving this video a thumbs up, subscribing to the channel for more content like this, and leaving a comment below sharing your thoughts or any additional insights you may have on this pivotal period in history. Let's keep the conversation going and remember the sacrifices made for our collective freedom.